it's Amanda from the Fiction Fairy, and today I'm bringing you a review, and my review is on Kiss of Broken Glass, and it's by Madeleine Kuderick. It is being released on September 9th, 2014, and it's being published by Harper Teen. Now, this cover is simple, it's pretty, it's like a lot of the Harper Teen books that have come out probably in the past year that just have the writing on it, so it's simplistic, there's nothing wow about it, there's nothing boring about it, it just is what it is. The things that I liked about this book were that the story was just incredible. It just drew you in like no other, and I was completely just encapsulated by it. I did not want to put it down, and I loved it. The things that I disliked about this book really were nothing. Again, this is like the second book that I haven't disliked anything about it, and that's very rare for me because usually you can pick out something, but it really just touched my heart, and I just loved everything about it. Now, this book is about a girl named Kara, and Kara, I don't really want to say she's a tormented soul, or at least she doesn't know she's a tormented soul at the beginning, but she wants to be with the popular kids, and unfortunately, the popular kids at her school in Florida are doing something called cutting. And cutting is where you take glass, staples, paper clips, anything that is kind of sharp, and you cut yourself on your thighs, on your feet, on your arms, places typically that parents can't find. And a lot of people who are depressed or have a mental illness feel that when they cut themselves, it releases the pain through that cut, but it feels good to them. It actually gives them a sense of calming, and that's why they do it. And once they start, they can't stop. So Kara kind of gets pulled into this world through wanting to be popular, which is kind of random that these girls are doing this to kind of create this club for themselves, but that's what they're doing. So it's kind of like a cutting club. And, Kara gets involved in this world because she wants to be popular. Well, unfortunately, one day she is cutting herself in her school bathroom, and one of the other girls who is also a cutter comes in, and she basically narcs on her. She runs to the counselor and the teacher and says, hey, Kara's in the bathroom cutting herself, and they ransack the bathroom, find her, bleeding, and all the kids in the hallway are staring at her. And so basically now she's the freak of the school because cutters don't tell on cutters, but this girl did because she was jealous of Kara, and she was jealous because Kara was able to cut on herself in such a delicate way that when her scars came, they were light and they were beautiful and they faded, and she didn't have these jagged scars. It sounds very weird that somebody would narc on somebody, not because they were hurting themselves, but because they were jealous of the scars that they were able to create through cutting. But that is really the world that this is. It's not a rational world, but this is the world that people who do this type of thing live in. This is what they strive for when they're doing this. So in Florida, they had this act where if you were harming yourself at school, they could automatically, without your parents' permission, take you to the nearest hospital, to the psych ward, and they do a 72-hour hold on you. So they can do your psych eval and see if they need to put you in permanent residency somewhere to get you help. So, Kara's mom is contacted, and Kara is put in this facility with all these other people who are cutters, who are anorexics, who are people who try to commit suicide, and she really sees for the first time like where cutting has got her. It's got her in this psych facility for 72 hours, and at first she fights it and she thinks this is incredibly stupid, and how could this girl have told on her at school, and it was just because she was jealous, and she's rationalizing not the fact that she's cutting, but the fact that how could somebody tell on me, this is stupid, why do they have me in this facility with all these other crazy people, let me just lie to the counselors in order to get out of here, I'll just pretend to be happy in order to get out of here, and that's all she wants. She just wants to go home, and her mom is kind of in denial, her dad's in denial. They don't really want to think about the fact that their daughter's been cutting, so they kind of stay away from the facility for the 72 hours until they have to come and eventually pick her up and come to family day, to family counseling. But throughout the book, even though it's only 72 hours, so the book is written in 72 hours, that's all it is, 72-hour format. So it's day 1, the time frames, day 2, the time frames, and day 3 in the time frames. And it's also written in verse, which is my first verse book, so it went fairly quickly. it just follows what she does each day, from the day that she gets there, how she feels, what she does, the second day, how she feels, what she does, and the third day, how she feels and what she does. And in those 3 days of that 72-hour hold, you see Kara go from somebody who just wants to lie her way out of the facility because nothing's wrong with her. She did it just to be popular. And she can't believe that this girl at school totally knocked on her. This is freaking horrible. Now she's not going to be a part of the popular group anymore. And she's going to have to sit alone by herself at the lunch table. And she can't believe this is happening, to really find out why she was cutting to begin with. You know, that maybe it wasn't just because she wanted to be popular. You know, maybe that was a small facet of it, but to continue to do something like this, there had to be something deeper. It's not just because she wanted to be popular. There was some sort of pain or conflict or something that was going on with her that allowed her to become addicted to cutting. You know, and she kind of develops and realizes, you know, what that could possibly be and why she really started cutting in the first place. Like getting down to the real nitty-gritty of why she started cutting in the first place, and that maybe she used the fact that she was cutting to be popular as just an excuse to hide why she was really doing it. You know, her parents have to come to terms with this, you know, with why Kara was doing the cutting, and Kara has to come to terms with the fact that she has a little brother and she wants to be a good role model for him. She also is able to see, you know, what all these other teenagers who are like her, who have tried to commit suicide, who are also cutting, who are anorexic, you know, what they're going through, and is she like them or is she not like them? So she really does a lot of self-discovery in these 72 hours, and she grows a lot in these 72 hours, and it was just interesting, one, because it was written in verse, and like I said, I've never read a verse book before, and I didn't think I would like them, but after reading this, I really loved it because it was quick to get through. It was interesting and it really held my attention, but I also like seeing the 72-hour format of just watching Kara go through from the time she's in school to the time she gets to the facility, what's happening from the sounds, the smells, the sights, the counselors, from the nurses' aides, from the woman who sits at the desk, from the people she sees in the facility, from what they talk about in group, to how she feels about it. It was just interesting to kind of like, it's almost like being inside somebody's diary. That's what I would say this book kind of was like, and I really, really liked that. And like I said, the story just kind of like caught me, because this is a big problem. Kids cutting is a big problem. You know, kids being depressed is a big problem. Adults being depressed and cutting or being anorexic is a big problem. And so things that have to do with those types of mental illnesses I'm very interested in, and so I really, really enjoyed this book. And like I said, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. I thought it was beautifully written. The story just captivated me. It written in verse just captivated me, and I just loved everything about this story. I just could not get enough of it. And then when I found out at the end of the book, when the author has a little bit of her acknowledgments, you find out that the author wrote this book because her teenage daughter actually had this happen to her in Florida. Her daughter was cutting at school, and she was taken to a psych facility for 72 hours. And although she did take some liberties with the story, the reason why she wrote it was because her daughter had gone through the same thing, and she kind of just wanted to let people know, you know, through this, you know, type of little bit of a heavy yet lighthearted story, you know, what is happening out there with kids in middle school, kids in high school, you know, that they are doing this, and the signs and the things that can happen with it, and kind of like sharing her own story through a bit of truth and a bit of fiction. And I really like that, and I commend the author for, you know, doing that, and writing such a beautiful story about it. So if you guys have not guessed already, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 cupcakes. I thought it was a wonderful read. I would recommend this to anybody and everybody. It's very quick. If you like verse, you'll love it because it's written in perfect, like, just flowy language. It's like being inside of somebody's diary, and you really watch the character grow during her 72 hours. So I would recommend this to anybody and everybody if you can get your hands on this book. I thought it was a terrific read, and I think that everybody will really, really enjoy it, or I hope you enjoy it as much as I did, because it kind of just took me by surprise. I didn't think I would like it, but I ended up loving it. So thank you guys so much for coming by the Fiction Fairy and watching my review, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.